If you are looking into buying cheap and safe FIFA coins, look no further than footcoinshop.net. They have the fastest service, an incredible loyalty reward system, and the best prices around. Use my creator code Inception when you sign up for your account and get a 5% discount with your order. Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Guys, listen, the discussion part of this tier list is going to be very important to listen to, because a lot of these cards, you can't like whoever I put in the S tier, you're not going to compare the SBCs of the S tiers to an actual S tier card like an Alexia Putellas. Okay, it's not like that. The comparison is not the same. I wanted to make this list because some people usually ask Inception. People like the way that I do the reviews because I tell you the goods and the bads of a card, and then when you use it, you already know, like, okay, so he's good in this and he's bad in this, so this is what I'm willing to do, right? For instance, you know, when I use like Kai Havertz and Martinelli, for instance, right? Like I told you guys, like these guys are going to be like meta cards, but I just wish that certain things happen to them, right? And they did that a lot for the winter wildcard promo in general, right? So when we do this list, just listen to the discussion part, okay? When we talk about each individual player, it's gonna be very, very important for you to make a decision on whether or not you should fully complete the SBCs, okay? So we might be adjusting the tier list accordingly depending on the situation, all right? So the first card that we have is going to be Trezeguet. A lot of these cards, guys, there's variables around them that I like because of Christmas being a thing. People also need to understand that, because this is EA's way of making their money as well, right? Because they know they get away with stuff basically, right? But some of the SBCs that they released, you have to understand that they're good SBCs to release for certain people because they're starting off in the game, okay? This is one thing that people are not taking into consideration at all, because they started playing from the beginning of the year all the way up until now, and that's just not going to be helpful for most people, okay? So we have to talk about these things individually. Trezeguet. So Trezeguet, guys, again, don't look at it from a value perspective only. Not a value perspective only. It's in-game quality and value. This card is like a low tier A, low tier A, and super high tier B. The reason being for this, okay, is because Trezeguet, for people getting into the game as a 100k SBC, is okay value, okay? He's okay value because the card expires very late, right? Like this is something that people are not looking into at all. If you go to the SBC and you see when it expires with 9 weeks remaining, okay? These are not amazing cards that the hardcores are going to look at and be like, oh, I really need this card, right? Because you're probably going to have better midfielders up until this point. But for people who are getting into the game, right, who need the link ups in their team for a decent midfielder, because he's still okay to use, Alisson is probably going to be a little bit better, I'm going to be honest, right? This is still an okay SBC. I don't mind the price of this SBC at 100k, because you slowly put your extra stuff into it. If you have the extra stuff, right, you slowly put your extra stuff into it, but it's mainly for people getting into the game for an icon who's French, who has a lengthy on an anchor and puts him in a decent area. Nothing too crazy, right? Nothing too crazy, but puts him in an okay area, right? So value in-game wise, probably a B. Value SBC wise, I'd put him like low tier A. It's that general area because it's, again, for people getting into the game, and it's helpful for the links for that specific variable, okay? For 9 weeks on the card, right? Nothing too crazy special, but the card was okay to use, all right? Next up, Alisson. Value of the card, little bit up there. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Guys, listen, I never base the SBCs or the reviews off of what people on Footbin say, because sometimes they're wrong, you know? Like when we reviewed Kai Havertz's card, people were like, the like to dislike ratio was like very close, and I was like, guys, like this card performs way better than you think. Like the one thing that I didn't understand is when people looked at the medium work rates and they're like, oh, that's the reason why I don't like the card, which makes zero sense, because if you have a high medium work rate player, it's just a card that doesn't have a high attacking work rate, but defensively that's what's going to matter, and a medium is still going to defend sometimes, you know? So that variable made no sense to me that people were looking into that, and it didn't look like it mattered in game because he performs well, right? Anyways, Alisson's card, okay. In-game value-wise, I don't mind putting him at an A. Price-wise, a little bit crazy. Definitely agree with the like to dislike ratio on this one. It's a little bit crazy. I think they could have done some really cool stuff to this card. Like, I don't know. I feel like I always mention this, right? But it would have been cool to just give him a shadow and then he was a controlled lengthy, right? Guys, lengthy is just helpful for cards that are not like completely full. Like when you're looking at like the pro players and the cards that they use, I would say most of the times they don't really have to look into lengthy that much. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like controlled works out a lot of the times. Like if they have like I've seen some pro players use like radioactive Valverde and they give him a shadow and they don't make him a lengthy. For me, I like him more in a lengthy. Not even necessarily in the midfield area, but I like using him as like a right mid or a right back. I don't know. I like using him in those areas on that lengthy. For some reason, it just works for me personally. And I noticed that right away when I was using him in the center mid area. That I liked him in those positions. Like I was using him in the 3-back, and you guys will see from the highlights that he performed really well there. But as I was saying, with Alisson's card, I feel like they could have done that, right? Maybe a shadow chemistry style on the card to drastically increase like interception, sliding tackles on him, right? The pace as well to an 89 for acceleration, 88 for sprint speed on a control or on a controlled lengthy would have been really cool, in my opinion, right? Do I still think that this card performs decently in game? Yeah, it does. Absolutely, right? If you come up against people that ended up completing this card, they're still going to have an okay card to use. Could they have given him more play styles to work with? Absolutely. It definitely would have been very relevant. The most relevant thing that I noticed with the card, and I mentioned this in the review, was the shot power part, right? The 97 shot power part. But he didn't feel crazy special in the attack, nor did he feel crazy special in the defense, right? So putting him in the tier list area, I don't mind putting him in the A tier. Again, this is relative to this specific SBC tier list, okay? For cards that you may want to actually improve on and so on and so forth, okay? All right, so next card here. And again, the people that I put in the A tier, I'm not going to compare. Like, we'll probably do them like in order if we can, right? We'll see if we can do something like that. Okay, so Alisson, it's still a decent card. It's not a horrible card, right? He didn't really feel more special on one thing over the other. The shot power was definitely the special thing that you notice, but it's still an okay card to use, right? The pricing is a little bit crazy though, okay? A little bit crazy. Del Piero, another SBC, where his pricing is a little bit crazy as well. He's crazy because, listen, man, I don't know. They price these SBCs the way they did because I think in their eyes, like they're like, oh, but we're giving these 83 times 10 as if people don't want to get like Mbappe and Eusebio and these types of guys, you know what I'm saying? But this Del Piero card is still good in game, okay? In game, it's still a good card. It's still enjoyable to use. But a really gaping thing that they did to him that I did not like, right, was removing finesse shot plus. I feel like with long ball plus, and I'm going to explain this to you guys because I feel like you guys are going to agree with this, right? I would have to specifically use this card as my attacking center mid in the center mid area, playing in a 4-3-2-1 specifically, because 4-1-2-2 it's way more ideal to have actual defensive stats, right? But 4-3-2-1, because that formation is essentially glitched, I would use them specifically in that area because long ball pass, guys, is amazing to have for midfielders. Okay, when I say midfielders, I don't mean the main attacking position of the cam spots, but I mean it more for the center mids and stuff. Okay, if you ever had it on cards that even have the regular version, law passes with those players, guys, is incredibly helpful to have. Okay, it's less helpful to have in the main attacking positions, but it's still okay to have, right? A thing with this card that they should not have touched is the finesse shot plus of it, right? Because you take out the main playstyle of the card, you change it to a long ball pass, which is, in my opinion, more ideal for the midfielders. That's not cam specifically, right? And then the price difference for this card and the other card is in +1s for the main areas of the card, and you're only giving him a +3 for balance, which still makes his base characteristics very, very similar, right, to the previous version, which is this one, who has the finesse shot plus, right? So it's interesting how that kind of works, because the dribbling on this card, you don't notice, like the stats of it with 83 agility, 80 for balance, you don't notice that as much as you would on some other cards, but it's still there, you know what I'm saying? So I think I mentioned this in the review, but it would have been cool if maybe they give like 2 gold versions of the card, right? Like with a long ball pass and a finesse shot plus, it would have been cool. Like the variable there would have been there. But yeah, people over here were kind of right. I don't know. There's one comment here that I agreed with where it's like they remove. Yeah, so wow, 1 pace more and a worse playstyle plus. Merry Christmas, EA, right? So the people in the flipping comment section, some people, they protect EA a lot, right? And they're like, oh, all you guys do is complain. But like at the end of the day, this game is formatted for meta. And when you're climbing division rivals, people talk about this card and this card and this evolution and that card, right? But a lot of the times, guys, when you hit, I would say like right now, because if you guys watched the Bumpa Store review, we did that in like Division 2 and 1. When you hit those divisions, guys, you're going to see the same players. Like, truth be told, right? So when you're completing these SBCs, you're mainly doing it for sentimental, but they're still decent in game, right? So with Del Piero, guys, I still like the card. It's still an A tier. I don't consider him like a B tier card by any means. I still consider him pretty decent. Like with Trezeguet, I'd put him at the high B tier. I don't think he's like a low B tier, right? He's a high B tier. Because he's still, like, Trezeguet is still okay to use. Like on an anchor specifically, I still liked the card. It was still helpful to have a taller player in that area, but they could have added more playstyles and stuff. But yeah, Del Piero, I still liked him. Like in-game quality-wise, he's still pretty cool. I like the way that he, like, I like his attacking AI. I like the way that his shots come off, because obviously, in his case, the 5-star weak foot's a really huge variable to work with. You know, with this card, people gave him like different chemistry styles here in Footbin, like a Hawk and stuff. But for me, like, I'm giving him a Hunter, because you got to work with the attacking AI and the attacking AI to get into positions quickly. So I just got to boost that part as much as possible. And then obviously you can hit some Trivellas with the card too, right? Guys, you don't necessarily need the Trivella playstyle for these guys to consistently hit Trivellas. It doesn't really have much to do with the shooting. Like, people really need to look at that. It's like, it's the contextual part of them doing it on a consistent that matters more, right? But that matters more. Like, obviously having the playstyle is helpful, but it just matters more. Does that make sense? 100 chemistry style on the card, it still makes him a decent card. It's not terrible by any means, but could have been better, I would say. Ian Wright. Okay, so the Ian Wright card, priced like crazy as well. Okay, priced like crazy as well. But this will be a little bit of a different variable that we have to consider when we compare this to Martinelli. All right, we're gonna do this for the card afterwards. With Ian Wright's card, okay, right away, and this is me, guys. This is just me when I play this game. This is how I feel. All right, I got to give everybody an engine chemistry styles, because when the dribbling is not mid 90s, high 90s area, I hate left stick dribbling with these cards. I just hate it, right? For most of the times. This card is actually decent in game. Probably the best version of Ian Wright we've ever had in FIFA, because they've never given this card someone cool, to be honest. Like, truth be told, right? The playstyles they gave him were good playstyles, right? Quick step plus is really nice. Chip shots, power shots. Power shot, it's cool. It's cool. It's all right, but nothing. I don't really use it as much as like a regular strike. Yes, technical is really helpful, right? And then he also has rapid. So the running parts of the card will be forced a little bit more with the pace and all that kind of stuff, right? But for me, it's 2 gaping things, right? Or 3 gaping things, I would say, right? So I have to give him the engine. I wish the pace was a little bit higher to work with the average body type a little bit more for like running animation, to work with those 2 play styles that the card has. That's just a personal opinion of mine, right? The dribbling I don't look into as much, considering the average body type, because he has 5-star skills to compensate it, right? But it's the shooting being on the lower side that's annoying, because the card in EA's eyes looks like a card you give a Hunter chemistry style to, because you have to increase the pace, you have to increase the shooting, and then, you know, maybe you can work with Trivellas as well, because the shot power is on the lower side. But then the dribbling you have to work with in certain situations, considering the fact that he's an average body type player, which sometimes when it comes to the left stick responsiveness part of the card, it could be a little bit annoying to work with. Generally speaking, though, if he chose to do this card, it's still a decent card to use in game. I actually enjoyed it. I like I said, it's probably his best version that he's ever had in FIFA, right? And this is going to be a common occurrence when it comes to me comparing the Winter Wildcard cards from the SBCs, because they always added a variable where they're like, this feels like a gaping thing that's missing, right? It's just always been the thing with the SBCs for this promo, right? But I don't mind, again, adding him into the A tier category, because the card was actually pretty decent, right? It was still a decent card to use. It's not terrible by any means, right? I'm not saying an A tier in regards to the SBC price, just in-game quality if you choose to grind the SBCs yourself, okay? Suker, I don't mind putting Suker at a B tier. Again, like these cards over here at the B tier, guys, they're not terrible by any means. They're still pretty usable. They're decent cards. I definitely rate using a Trezeguet. Yeah, I would say B tier. I don't mind putting a Suker at the B tier because with Suker's card, right, I'm going to show you guys a few things again, right? So with Suker, again, a card that's 100k. So maybe they do it for the casuals because the casuals, they don't really look into the game mechanics as much. Like they're getting into the game. Oh, this is an icon that gives me links with anybody. Okay, I got to put him on my team. He's left-footed. Right off the bat, got to mention this. I had to give him a hunter. I think giving him anything else kind of feels a little bit more pointless because you have to utilize pace and shooting with this card as much as possible. He doesn't have like the craziest running animation, right? It is really helpful to work with the stuff that the card does have, right? So he has Trivela, he has technical, chip shot, quick step. Dribbling on the ball is not too crazy. His technical is helpful to have, but it doesn't feel crazy either. We were able to score, I think, 2 different opportunities from out dribbling the opponent in the defensive areas, but that's like, you have to like really time it as much as you possibly can when they feel a little bit more physical to work with, because of the fact that he's 6 foot. The lean body type, it doesn't help as much unless you give him an engine, but if you give him an engine on the card, then you don't boost the shooting. And the shooting, in my opinion, kind of needs the hunter, because when I gave him the hunter, his shooting actually came off pretty decently whenever I got into the higher percentage strike areas. You guys saw from the reviews, there were certain strikes that, you know, I didn't even green time. I hit a white time, which is just you hitting the shot normally without having time finishing at all. And, you know, he was still able to hit the ball pretty nicely. So it's still a decent card. Right, again, I agree with the like to dislike ratio. I think a lot of people are more passionate because of the people that got the game from the beginning, but the card's still usable, right? If you come up against them and someone, guys, there's always this that we have to consider. If you're facing off against someone and they're decent at the game, they can make cards look good. Look at Harry, right? Harry can use a silver team and make them look like a bunch of Alexia Putellas, you know what I'm saying? Like, basically. But yeah, the card, you know, I consider him B tier standard. I don't mind putting him at the B tier. It's not like a terrible card by any means, right? But attackers wise, I would personally rather use like a Wright or a Del Piero, just because they have other variables that kind of match the meta a little bit more, right? So yeah. Okay, Keane's card. So Keane's card, where would I put Keane? Keane is kind of like, Keane is, I mean, dude, the thing about him is, like, again, it's just gaping things that they did to some of these cards, right? So my problem with Keane is that they should have made him a lengthy on a shadow. That's the first thing, okay? Very important to mention that. Should have made him a lengthy on a shadow. If I check out this in particular, right? Because I'm going to show you guys, because sometimes they're not always accurate with the accelerate to the card, right? So it's always important to go to websites that actually show the accuracy of it a little bit better, right? So over here with Keane, you can clearly see that he's controlled for everything, right? Even on football, it's controlled for everything. It's probably going to be a little bit more updated now. But even if I give this card an anchor to boost the strength, isn't it like, I always forget like what it is. I always forget if it's like agility that matches the like the physical and stuff. Yeah, tough to say. Honestly, guys, the thing about this card, here's what I'm going to mention, okay? If you use this card as your CDM, he's your stay back while attacking player, cover center. He actually has some pretty good defensive animations, and for clear reasons as well, because he has 99 interceptions, 99 standing tackles, and 99 sliding tackles. So with the play styles that he has, he's got intercept to work with the stat. He has bruiser to work with the stats, and he also has a couple of other things too, like slide tackle plus, right? So when you have those in the 99s area, it's really nice. But it should have been a card formatted for a lengthy on a shadow chemistry style, 100%. Because with a card like this in the CDM position, like, I wouldn't recommend using him as a CDM in a more open formation like a 3-5-2. I think it's a little bit more ideal to use someone who feels a little bit more quicker on that lengthy, right? There's some cards that will have like 83 acceleration, 83 sprint speed, and be a lengthy, and those guys will... Guys, I'll give you guys an example. Like, I don't mean to be that guy. I always compare. You guys know there's memes about this with me. But I've used this version, just this one, the Radioactive Maestro version, and this card on a Shadow Chemistry style playing in that CDM role, he's just better, in my opinion, right? Like, I'm not even joking. As an evolutions, like this card, I see him in the top division still, bro. I'm not... It's this card or it's other variations that people went with because they gave him like certain playstyle pluses or whatever. But Chouameni is just like, he's just that guy, right? Like, Very, very good card. But he's very good because of what, guys? I mean, look at his play styles. They gave him everything, bro. Even anticipate, intercept, jockey. Like the card feels great to defend with, you know. And when we look at it from that perspective, it's pretty helpful to have those things, right? Is it still an okay card to use if you are a Manchester United fans? Most of these dislikes come from people not looking into position changes, because you can play him as a center mid and then just rotate him accordingly. But yeah, for me, I don't mind putting him at the B tier. Yeah, I don't mind putting him at the B tier. B tier would be like a decent area to put him at. Okay, Ruud Gullit is an interesting one. Okay, Ruud Gullit is an interesting one. So here's what I'm going to tell you from a personal perspective. You guys ready? From a personal perspective, even if I grinded this game like crazy with the SBCs that currently exist, like Mbappe, Ezebi, all these guys, right? I would personally not grind the full SBC. Okay, personally, I'd rather like spend the time to get like a Ezebi or Mbappe or anything like that, like those like really, really big guys. I think that the Gullit name is really carrying this card for EA to price him the way that they did, right? However, the card is still pretty decent to use in game, right? Now, key thing to mention over here, this is a very good example of checking out Footbin and making sure that you actually check the accelerates of the cards, right? So you can see that none of the things over here gives them a lengthy, right? And they're wrong, because if you go here, and I hope that Footwiz is right, because I haven't like super looked into the differences, but you could see here that he's a controlled lengthy on the anchor chemistry style. I will say that we had to redo the video because I searched that up on Footbin and they had that accelerates on the card. And I will say that for me, I had to give him a shadow. I preferred him on the shadow than I did on the anchor, which it's interesting because cards always feel a certain way from base characteristics from previous cards. Because like, listen, the other versions of Gullit, like if you have, okay, so that's the SBC version, but if you had this one, look at the difference here, okay? If you give this card a shadow, he's a controlled lengthy player. That's a really big deal because he has 91 acceleration, 94 for sprint speed while working with the lengthy part of the card. So this card is going to be like, I haven't used it myself, but I'd be surprised if he wasn't good. Even if he has defensive stats like that, you guys know that Gullit himself kind of feels different gravy. You know what I'm saying? Now, that being said, I still enjoyed using this card. I still thought he was pretty decent. If you're looking at it from a perspective of using him in the CDM position and the center mid position, for me personally, I would put him at the S tier, but low side of the S tier. Okay, I'm pushing him this way. Okay, I'm pushing him because, like I said, for me personally, I wouldn't grind the SBC. But the card is still pretty good to use in game, right? But 2.5 million good, little bit crazy, right? The card's nice though. Like I said, I personally preferred him on the shadow when I was using him. Some people like him on the anchor because they notice that they want a little bit of extra physical stats because, to be fair, he has not that many, right? On an anchor, you boost the strength, aggression, and jumping on the card a little bit, and it can be helpful because at the end of the day, he is a taller player. And you do have to consider those things. Again, I'm not looking at it from an S tier perspective in regards to, you know, the card being worth the price at 2.5. It's a little bit crazy, right? But this card, at the very least, has play styles to work with. And that's a really huge thing, right? Regular, anticipate, passing. I love the passing on the card. The passing was really good. The way that he got involved in the attack was still pretty decent as well. And he has the 5-star weak foot to work with, right? So, you know, for me, shadow chemistry style definitely seemed like the it factor personally. Could they have done a little bit better for the SBC? They could have, to be honest, right? Like I said, I'm telling you from a personal perspective, I wouldn't grind the whole thing, right? Compared to some of the other SBCs that were out, but you know, I'll put them at the S tier because they still gave them good play styles. They're definitely hiking up the price of the card because it's wholly 100%, but it's still nice. I still enjoyed using him, to be honest with you. Excuse me. All right, Next up, Immobile. Didn't even use them. Immobile, that day during the holidays, I was like chilling with friends. And normally when I hang out with people, I'm like, all right, guys, I got to go home, do my 1 o'clock stuff, right? But when it's the holidays, people are off work. I want to enjoy the holidays. You know, I want to be with my familia. And you know what? It was a good thing that we did because the card doesn't look that interesting. You know, some people want reviews for these cards, but I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm probably never going to see them in game unless... keywords, unless they get an evolutions, because at the end of the day they did give this card regular finesse shot, power shot pluses. I mean, this could be okay, right? I wonder if Boris did this card, because I mean, on a Hawk chemistry style, it's a controlled player. I mean, the pace is not in a high situation, but the finishing is in a very, very good area, considering the fact that he has a 5-star weak foot, right? So I don't know. I don't know what they did with him. Maybe if they made him a controlled lengthy on a Hawk. Is this right? I'm giving an opinion without using him. I'm not gonna tell you like, oh, I think the card's this, and I never used him, right? Oh, so controlled lengthy, yes. Controlled lengthy does, why? Ah, it's a +8, that's what it is. I wonder if people give him this card. I wonder. I think most people would give him a hunter though, because a lot of times with the lengthies, like, you don't always have to look into it. You know what I'm saying? Not always, especially with the regular build up in this game. But again, never really used the card myself. Sorry, I was like showing the actual stats here, right? But basically we were like looking at this stuff here. Yeah, I think with him, I don't mind putting him at, well, I put him at didn't use because I didn't use him, right? I might as well put Diatta there as well and Mbabu there as well because I did not use those cards. Diatta, I don't even think it was worth a review. I'm going to be honest. I don't see you guys using that card at all unless he gets an Evo, right? And Mbabu actually looks like he could be decent because Mbabu is a lengthy player. So I feel like defensively he would actually be really good because he is a lengthy player on an anchor. Yeah. He's a lengthy player on an anchor. No, the dribbling is horrible, like completely horrible. But if he's on stay back while attacking, like he actually could be okay, especially if he gets like an Evo in the future, right? To improve the dribbling a little bit more, not a little bit more, a lot more. But still, like he can actually be okay in the future. Like who knows, right? Might be a card to look into if you went in that route. But again, not a card I wanted to review either. He has Jockey +2, which again defensively could be very solid. Because cards like this, what is he, like a high medium on the card, 6 foot? Yeah, I mean, like I said, he could still be a good card because guys, cards like this, sometimes I'm not even joking, like you'll play them at like right center back in a 3-back formation and sometimes they could still be very good, right? But like I said, never really used the card myself, so I have no opinion on him. Okay, next up, Bobby Moore. Okay, so let's take a look at this card really quickly. My main thing with him is obviously the pace. Guys, this is a park the bus counter-attacking game. We have to all admit this, okay? It's a very park the bus counter-attacking game. The pace is on the lower side. It is. However, as I mentioned in the review, okay, he's got some good challenges, man. I like his challenges. And yeah, I like his challenges. Why? Because he's got Anticipate Plus, right? Whenever you manually defend with these types of players, it's always fun to manually defend with them because of Anticipate Plus. You actually feel like you can play the game, right? And I hate this. I hate that Anticipate Plus is a thing. They should just do that to all the cards because even cards that don't have Anticipate Plus sometimes don't get possession-based challenges, right? But because he's like a smaller player, nimble to work with, right? He actually does get a few situations here and there. Here's the interesting part about Moore. If you guys actually enjoy playing the game and using cards that are meta enough, right? Meta enough. Very keywords, meta enough. But you have to line them up a certain way and they'll be decent. Here's what you'll do. You have a card like Moore. He's the center back. That's the main position change of the card. Then you get Stones as an SBC and then you switch them in game, okay? Because with Stones, a little bit different because when you look at this card, I even mentioned in the review, right? This Stones card has Block Plus. For me, I like Block Plus more if it's in the center back area, right? You could still use it in the CDM position. It's still going to help you, especially for people that spam those ball roll Trivellas and stuff. But I'm just giving you guys an example of what you could potentially do. Because if you give this card an anchor, you boost his physical, you boost his pace. Again, key thing to mention, maybe EA gives them an evolutions, who knows, right? If they give him an evolutions, it would definitely be kind of saucy, especially in the pace department specifically to improve, right? Even if you could still give him an anchor, like look at how the card is formatted, like the defense, imagine the defense basically being perfect, physical being a little bit higher, and then the pace obviously being higher by, in my opinion, at least a +5 in both the acceleration and sprint speed. I think it'd be a really big deal for him, but this is an example of what I'm talking about, right? Because you could see that it's center defensive mid, center mid, and then with Bobby Moore, it's center back. For me, I would rotate and put Bobby Moore as the center defensive mid in your team, and then I would put Stones as a center back in game, right? So your custom tactics before is center back and then CDM for Bobby or for Stones, depending on the chemistry of your squad. And then you switch your tactics from attacking, ultra attacking, defensive, ultra defensive, and then you just switch them in game. That's what I would personally do. That was an example, right? You could even do the same thing with someone like David Alaba. You know what I'm saying? David Alaba is another good example too, because David Alaba is a card that would play in the midfield position specifically really, really nicely, right? So if he's a left back and your team is formatted like that, you put him at left back, then you want to rotate that and you're playing like a 3-back formation. Like this type of stuff is always relevant to look at, right? For the different position changes and whatnot. This is not, is this the highest? It's not 88, is it? This is the one I was looking at. Yeah, sorry, because I was like thinking about the card before. I looked at the position and I was like, what? But yeah, center back, left back. This is from the rare gold one, right? But there's the other one. That's the inform one. Is it the inform one here? This one? Yeah, inform one. Team of the week upgrades, Pep's legacy, boom, right? This is a card that's center back, left back. You switch them to CDM, bang. You know what I'm saying? Then you switch Stones to center back, bang. Because the Alaba in the midfield would be really nice. There's some formations where having 2 medium-high work-rated players is super ideal, but then having someone like this that's basically the guy that can push forward, come back with like the passing capabilities, it's nice to have, right? So that's like an example of what you could do with these types of players. So buy more. I don't mind putting him at the A tier in regards to usability. Like I said, I like looking at these cards right here. I'd probably put Trezeguet at the super low A tier, super high B tier, because buy more in the pace being low is annoying, but you can rotate that because 99 dribbling is nice, and the anticipate plus when you have really good defensive stats is also nice too, right? So this is how we're going to line it up. I don't mind this whatsoever. So Stones, similar situation. Certain things could have been improved on the card. Is it still a decent card to use? Yes, I'm going to put him at the A tier because block plus for manually defending certain shooting angles is very helpful to have, okay? You guys saw it in the review when Mbappe had that ball on 2 different occasions. If I don't have block plus, he scores that near post opportunity. He scores the far post. Like, it's important to have, right? Again, guys, don't look at this tier list and be like, okay, we're gonna compare this one to a future one, because this is only relative to this promo because the prices of the SBCs have been, you know what I'm saying, on this promo. So be very mindful of that, okay? All right, next card, Martinelli. The price of the card, and this, I hated that they did this, okay? I hated that they did this. And I mentioned to you guys in the review as well, when it comes to Martinelli for the pricing and all that kind of stuff. It's really annoying because this is how I personally feel. And again, just personal opinion again, all right? Personal opinion. On an engine chemistry style, this card is boosted in the pace department, which puts him at a 98.95, which is really nice, okay? 98.95. The passing is improved. The dribbling is improved to key areas for me personally, right? And the card is really good at doing everything except for consistent shooting. But guess what? Even though the price of the SBC is at a certain point, this and that, whatever, I would still put this card from cards to complete from SBCs as an S tier card because he's genuinely really good in the side positions. I said the same thing to you guys in the review. The card has good attacking AI. He has good dribbling, very explosive with the skill moves. But when I give him an engine, because right away, bro, the first, I think if I remember correctly, in the first game, I think I had it might have been like a hawk or a hunter on him, maybe. And I'm like, right away, I'm like, I have to give him an engine. Because when I gave him the engine, guys, he cooked. Okay, he cooked. And you guys saw, man, there's gonna be some tactic videos that you guys are gonna see from like the goals that we score and stuff, right? Where even if my shooting is low, I still try my best to work high percentage strikes. But that's the only thing. It's just the consistency of strikes is gonna be lackluster sometimes. I don't know what makes the attacking AI of the players better or worse, because I look at attacking positioning at an 86, and I told you guys the same thing in the review, that I didn't care too much about the 86 attacking positioning, because attacking AI wise in game he was actually really nice. And I'm not even joking, you could use him in any of the attacking positions. You genuinely could, right? So I'm still gonna put him at the S tier category, because it's still a good card in game. And the shooting was low. I hate EA for pricing the card the way that they did. They definitely could have improved the base card stats of it a little bit for consistency for the price of it, because I would be, if it was like, dude, even if it was like 90 finishing 88 shot power, I'd be like, guys, I might have to look into it a little bit. But guys, even with this SBC still being out, this one way more than Hullet in my opinion, right? You should look into it, because he's actually pretty good. Okay, he's actually a pretty solid card. It's just the finishing consistency, that's it. But everything else he's very good at doing. Okay, you guys saw in the review we were saucing people, because listen, bro, if you give this card an engine, he has technical plus as well. That, you guys know, technical plus is like a play style in this game. Okay, it's a really play style, you guys know. Okay, I try to tell you guys this all the time. Okay, next up we have Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is an SBC. Okay, I wish they gave him at least 1 or 2 defensive playstyles. However, if you guys watched the review, I even had a guy in my comment section who recently commented that left me a really nice comment. He's like, Inception, thank you so much for showing the footage of Kai Havertz and Martinelli, because if I didn't see that footage, I probably would not have done these cards. Sure, they're lacking in certain things for sure, but they're still really good. And Kai Havertz, he's gonna join the S tier category. Okay, do I wish in certain, like, there's certain situations I was defending, I was like, oh, if he just had this play style here, you know, like, because the card, look, right, if we go to Kai Havertz, if you go to Kai Havertz's card and we go to play styles, right, no defensive stuff. I was like, you know, if they did that, would have been sick. But guys, I'm telling you guys, and I told you guys in the video, you can watch it back, all right? I told you that I could see people in the top tier divisions using both Martinelli and Kai Havertz in the team, because they're actually really good in game. Okay, Martinelli, like Martinelli, there's people that were using him on a Deadeye, on a Hawk, and they would still cook, because I think you guys are crazy. You know, you're okay with the dribbling as it is for you to do stuff like that. I think you're insane. Okay, because for me, I need my left stick to feel good. But like, if you're okay with the left stick being as it is, like, you're gonna be at an advantage for this game. I'm gonna be honest with you, because if you could just give him something else and still cook with him, then congratulations, it works for your play style perfectly. But I gotta give him the dribbling boost, right? But with Kai Havertz, guys, I'm telling you, okay, that on 3 chemistry before this SBC expires, because it's gonna expire on the 21st, so you have time. You guys are gonna watch this video, okay? You should consider doing it, because it's actually pretty good in game. And if you can somehow, if I can somehow get the fodder on my first owner account to get both Gabriel Martinelli and this card, would be great, okay? Because they're actually pretty decent in game. Kai Havertz, for me, is a very solid left back. I mentioned in the review that he surprised me, dude. When I was using him, he surprised me. If you guys look at the like to dislike ratio on that video, I even mentioned, I'm like, I don't know about this one, right? I don't know, like, because when people footbin people, they judge some cards a little bit too early, right? But like, dude, controlled lengthy, the lengthy is awesome. The medium, you will not care about the medium. Whipped pass plus, I tell you guys, bro, when you see this playstyle right here, I had a guy message me on Instagram. He's like, Inception, please stop telling people about whipped pass plus, or I'm gonna uninstall this game. Guys, whipped pass plus is insane. Do you know how insane it is to have that playstyle? That's why Bacha, when you comp against Bacha is so scary to comp against, because she has that playstyle. Okay, Kai Havertz is a card you should look into for future SBCs and all that kind of stuff. By the way, we're missing an SBC here because EA released a card and we were gonna be like, where is he? I need to add him afterwards. Big boy Balotelli. Okay, Hernandez. The variables around Hernandez, I have to mention, I don't mind, you know, 100k for this Hernandez is good value. It's really good because, guys, listen, a lot of people that when they look at cards, they're like, oh, I don't want to get this card because I already have this card, blah blah blah, right? Guys, 100k for this SBC was good value. The thing that I mentioned in the videos is the thing I'm going to mention to you guys now. If you don't have the top tier strikers because you've been playing the game since the very beginning, if you are getting into the game and you need an icon to help you out with links in your team while still working with a decent striker, excuse me, Hernandez is going to be that guy for you, okay? Because to be honest with you guys, man, strikers, they're kind of hard to come by in this game. I'm going to be honest with you guys. They're kind of hard to come by. Like, for me, I'm still waiting to get a rare gold Karim Benzema for the RTG accounts because I love Benzema this year. Benzema, like, I actually think rare gold Benzema this year is better than flashback Benzema. I tell you guys this all the time. People don't really use, people use flashback Benzema more before because he was an SBC. People have their SBC accounts, all that kind of stuff, right? But Benzema this year he's so good, man. I wish I got that. I think he has like a radioactive or whatever, right? But unless you have a good striker in your team, right, Hernandez is still pretty decent to use. Again, I prefer Benzema. I love Benzema this year. You guys know, listen, I like him more than flashback Benzema from back in the day. I'm not even joking. I'm being serious, okay? But this Hernandez card was a good SBC for the value. If you already have the strikers like a Zebu, Mbappe, all those types of guys, you're chilling. You don't need to get this guy, okay? Unless you're building a Mexican team. But I don't mind putting him A tier category as well, because the card's still going to be pretty decent to use. Value of the SBC was pretty nice for people that are getting into it, right? That's why I'm putting Trezeguet at like the top 100k. Is not a bad area for the card. It's still decent to use for people getting into the game. French links as well, right? So very, very helpful. Now, just give me 1 second because we gotta do something really quickly here because this was not on the picture, okay? Not on the picture, but we gotta put the boy there because you already know where this guy's gonna go. You already know where this guy's gonna go. Where is he at? Boom. There he is, man. How dare I not add this card, okay? Listen to me when I tell you guys, S tier card, bro, okay? This card, his only problems for the most part is links, because in game, this card cooks, okay? He cooks. I'm like people sometimes, right? I look at cards, and people like the cards because sometimes they just like they like the picture. They're like, oh, he has the Santa hat, he has the red shirts, blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, listen, when we talk about in-game quality, this is basically my Benzema card, bro. Basically a better version of Benzema, literally. All right, a rare gold, a way better version of rare gold Benzema. This is my guy. You know how crazy this card is in game, bro? He's amazing, bro. This card is Himothy, bro. Himothy. When I was using him, I was genuinely, I love cards that give me authentic attacking AI. I love cards that give me the skill moves. He has Trickster Plus, so it's fun to score some of those opportunities sometimes like an idiot, you know what I'm saying? Like, Warren SBC, 45k. I think they released this card on the 25th. They released this on Christmas Day. Good. Wara Christmas present for us. This SBC for 45k is ridiculously good as a striker. He is incredible in game. And guess what? In my case, he actually links up to Nani. Nani's card is not like super crazy, but honestly, if you use him as your attacking oriented center mid, listen to what I'm saying, attacking oriented center mid, it's actually okay to use, right? Because he gives you that link to that specific club as well, Demerspor. So in case you don't have the icon and stuff. But guys, in-game quality wise, bro, it's such an easy S tier. I can't even begin to explain it to you guys. Like, it's just an S tier card. I just need to check SBCs in particular to see if I missed out on anybody here. No, I got everybody. Bobby Moore, Del Piero, Balotelli, Kai Havertz, Hernandez, Martinelli, Gullit. Yeah, okay, so we got all the main winter wild cards. Sorry, I had to add them in there, bro, because I'm like, yo, where'd my boy go? Okay, so from the harsh ones, I'm being a little bit harsh on Trezeguet. I don't mind actually adding him at the very end of the A tier category. I wouldn't say these are like in order, by the ways. I'm not. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, guys, I'll do it in order, but I wouldn't say it's like in order because comparing like Buy More to Wright, that's kind of stupid, right? But I think with the S tier category cards, like, listen, if you have the time and you have the guts, right, the guts to go ahead and unlock Gullit, good for you. You know what I'm saying? You're still gonna get a pretty good card, right? He's 2.5 million coins, which is disgusting. All right, disgusting because it's Gullit, but it's a good card in game. Not the price of it, but good in game, right? But the three main cards, and I mentioned this to my friends IRL as well, the three main cards that I want you guys to look into is gonna be three guys right here. Kai Havertz, I would say Kai Havertz is right there, bro. Okay, like if I'm gonna put them in order, and then I'm also gonna do this as well, right? If I'm gonna do the order of the S tier, because Kai Havertz, I really think you guys should look into getting this card. Okay, great play styles. Couldn't care less that he's a medium. Still defends really well. I wish they gave him one or two play styles, but it's still a good SBC. Okay, still a good SBC. Balotelli, disgusting card in game for the price. And Martinelli, his SBC price is the one that's disgusting, but it's good in game. I just wish they gave him the shooting. Okay, that's the key things here. So that's what I'm gonna say. Again, not all of these cards are looked into from like a value perspective. That's why I told you guys, listen to the conversation part of the card. It's gonna be very, very important. Don't compare this tier list to a future tier list where I'm putting like this. Some of these guys are not on the level of Alexia Putellas and stuff as an S tier. No, it's not like that. But as cards that you should look into from the SBC perspective, I have to repeat myself, guys, because sometimes people go on the Alaba video. I was comparing, listen to this. I was comparing, as I even put this as the top comments, because some people, communication skills very bad, right? In the top comment section, I have to literally tell people I never compared Llorente to Alaba. If you're actually using your ears, you're listening correctly, I am comparing the urgency of completing one evolution over the other. Because guys, listen, I'll tell you guys this right now, man. If you chose to do Pompa Store over David Alaba, you're chilling because she's amazing. You know what I'm saying? Because you only got the one Pep legacy, but Llorente, no, during that time period, Tchouaméni doesn't touch Llorente. And look at what happened to Tchouaméni. Tchouaméni has better evolutions now, right? So that's why I mentioned during those time periods of those reviews that there's not an urgency to complete David Alaba over some other like Pep's legacy in regards to the comparisons. Very good card though. That's not what I was comparing, right? Because if you chose to get David Alaba, you're getting a solid card. But like if you got Bomba Store, for instance, like Bomba Store is sick. I'm probably gonna do it in the RTG accounts, to be honest with you, right? But like I said, if you guys are gonna be looking into SBCs, look into these three specifically, okay? George Adamu, it's funny, man, because I freaked out during the review, but George Adamu was a pro player. He put a red on Balotelli, bro. That's how much he liked the card, okay? Just letting you know, hands up in the air. This is not me just putting it because of other people's opinions. I've used these cards myself, okay? That's where I would put them in their own ways. But one thing to mention, very important, is that EA really annoyed me this promo, because for so many of these cards, they always had to do something to them to not make them that cool for the price that you were getting them at, right? These cards are all cool, but the prices sometimes for some of them was really, really annoying, okay? Really annoying. So that's all I'm gonna say, pretty much. Guys, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you guys listen to the discussions instead of going all the way to the end of the video and then just hating me for it. Remember, some of these cards could get evolutions in the future. Very key thing to mention, to turn them into monster players. Because look at what happened to this guy, huh? Did you ever think that this guy right here, did you ever think that this guy would be extinct because this turns into this? Did you ever think that? No, right? So it could happen with some of these SBCs as well. The same thing with this card, bro. Who knows what EA does to this card, bro, in the future? If there's like a certain evolutions that come out, right? Or comes out, excuse me. This one, SBC price was disgusting for this thing, dude. Disgusting. But hey, maybe they drop an evolutions for free and here they turn them into a beast. They turn them into like a 5-star, 4-star. Like, we don't know. We don't know what EA are gonna do, right? We don't know. But for me personally, I am comfortable with this tier list for how it turns out, okay? Remember, I mentioned this already like 6 times in this video. Look into these 3 cards. I told my friends the exact same thing, that if you're gonna put SBC fodder that's extra into certain things, these are the 3 main ones. I would actually even consider Balotelli and Havertz kind of like must-do SBCs. Havertz, I'm still going to consider him like an 80% must do SBC because the shooting thing is a little bit annoying, but it's still a very good card in game. Okay. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I will catch you guys for the next one. Peace out, my dudes. Love you guys.